Good morning, everybody. Today I want to talk to you guys about the rat race. So I know sometimes I'll talk about different jargon, and people will actually say, I don't actually know what you're talking about when you mention that. So one of those is the rat race. For years now, I've used that almost every day. But I do realize that some people don't quite understand that term, what I'm talking about there. I've had a couple people ask me recently, so I thought I'd go ahead and give you guys a rundown here of what it means to be in the rat race and then what it means to get out of the rat race, unless you don't already know. And if you do already know, then maybe we can comment below and get some really cool discussion as far as some pro tips and all that stuff. So here we have a little person on a hamster wheel running. So it's kind of like a rat, in a maze, but more like a hamster wheel, that kind of thing you see the hamsters running on. Essentially kind of like a treadmill, like you're going, you're working really hard, but you're not going anywhere, okay? So it's the rat race. And really what that means, it's dealing with your income, your expenses, and then if that gives you freedom or not. Okay, like freedom or bondage, essentially. So if you're making $1,500 a month and you're spending $1,500 or more a month, then you would definitely be in the rat race, okay? And you're going to be there for a long time unless something changes. Same thing, 2000, but you can still be in the rat race. Let's say if you make $7,000 a month. Maybe some people listening on here are like, oh yeah, well I make that, but I'm definitely still in the rat race, okay? And then these numbers could be doubled, tripled, that type of thing, okay? But so it doesn't necessarily matter how much you're making, but if you're spending that or more, you're definitely in the rat race, okay? So really, it's all about kind of how most of us end up in the rat race, is that we're collecting liabilities, a car payment, student loan payments, bigger rent or mortgage payments, and then maybe we have a boat or a second house. I mean, there's lots of different liabilities you could have. Even a growing family. We all like having a family, but at the same time, there is a cost to support more people. Okay, so we have ever increasing expenses, and you just can't get ahead. Okay, so something has to change if you would ever want to get out of the rat race. Because essentially, let's say you're at $1,500 and then you get a raise, and then now you're at $2,000 a month. Okay, well, you're like, oh, I'm going to trade in my beater car, and well, now you have a bigger car payment, and let's say your rent goes up a little bit, or you move to a slightly nicer place. So as your lifestyle increases, then boom, you're still in the rat race. Okay, so as long as your expenses are that high, you're going to be in the rat race. So to get out of the rat race, there's really just a couple steps. They're really, really hard. Maybe. The steps are simple. They can be hard to implement. Okay, so the first one, it does sound easier than it actually is, but it is a habit, a muscle you can build. It's spend less than you make. Okay, so when you're making $1,500 a month, when you get that raise to where now you're making $2,000 a month, don't spend all of that. Okay, try to save all of it. And we're not just saving to have money in the bank. Okay, we do need an emergency fund and everything, but that $500 a month could be life-changing if you compound it and go on there. I'm not really a huge fan of all this compound interest type of stuff. You actually have to have it in investments and working hard. Nothing's working hard in a savings account for you, okay? So I say save it, but really when I say save, I mean pile it up and put it in an investment as fast as you can, okay? So we have, you didn't increase your lifestyle, you're still living on that $1,500 a month, okay, which I know is definitely hard. Let's say you could save $500 a month, okay, so you're living below your means, okay, you have that $500 extra. Try to do this at the beginning of the month and budget for this, put it as a line item. I have to send $500 to this savings account right here, or these couple savings accounts, all right? And then you're going to save, but to invest, okay, I already mentioned that. So to invest the difference in, here's the big piece of how you get out of the rat race, an income producing assets. We're not just getting assets that are going to go up in value. I'm not even going to mention different examples. We're only going to do income producing assets, okay? So this could be a dividend over a stock. So anything that gives you a dividend or gives you royalties, a business that provides you income. It could be passive. And essentially though, a really, really big one that you guys know I focus on is the real estate. Okay, so let's say you have $500 a month. That's $6,000 a year. You can get 4, 5, sometimes 20 times that of a loan. Okay, as far as that putting down in a down payment. So you can get, let's say, a house and maybe a duplex or something, and then you got the down payment on it. If the rent's higher than all of your expenses, then you have cash flow. Okay, so in this example here, I have over a few years, we have 3 rental properties. Okay, and let's say those 3 rental properties ended up cash flowing between the 3 of them, $500 each, because you got really good deals and everything, $1,500 a month total. Okay, well, back to our example up here, $1,500 a month from our assets. If our expenses are still $1,500 a month, we are then technically out of the rat race. Okay, now we don't have too much breathing room, but we still are technically out of the rat race. Okay, so at this point we're out of the rat race. This doesn't have to meet the $2,000 income to be out of the rat race. You still would. Okay, you want to potentially keep going, but the $1,500 a month would cover all the expenses. And really what that means is something could happen. You could get laid off, fired, quit. You could change careers, whatever. For some reason you stop working, and you can actually still pay all of your expenses from your assets that you've purchased. So it's maybe you're managing or something like that, but your work, your W-2 job, doesn't have to actually provide all of your expenses. Okay, now I would advocate that you keep going and then you reinvest that, because now if you look it up here, now your income is the $1,500 plus the $2,000, $3,500. Okay, so I would say before you increase your lifestyle, cars, houses, bigger family, yada yada yada, we have $3,500 up here now. Well, now we can really invest a ton. Okay, so we have the $500 here plus the $1,500, so now $2,000 a month. Okay, times the 12 months. Heck, guys, that's $24,000. Okay, now we're getting bigger properties with bigger income, and down payments and leverage and more cash flow and all that stuff. Okay, so let's say then you keep reinvesting. Well, now once your income from your assets goes up another $500, okay, from another property here that you can get on quicker now. Well, now that one, okay, well now your passive income is going to be $2,000 a month, and your expenses were only $1,500 a month. Well, now you're way out of the rat race. Now you do have some wiggle room with that new property. Now you can increase your lifestyle as far as houses and cars, bigger expenses essentially. Okay, but your assets, your income producing assets, would actually cover those, so you would still be out of the rat race. Okay, so again, a lot of this stuff is really good if you can let your assets pay for your liabilities and try to avoid too much liabilities. But this is the biggest piece right here as far as getting started. You cannot save or invest anything if you're spending everything. So I put it as a line item in there. Spend less than you make, save the difference, put it into an income producing assets, and get yourself out of the rat race, and then just keep going, because then you can give more and save more and do a lot of really cool things. So this is definitely some stuff that I'm subscribing to. A lot of these books back here mention it. So that is what I mean when I'm talking about the rat race and getting out of the rat race. So thank you guys. Let me know where you're at in this, and then if you have some tips and stuff. So go ahead, like, comment below, share, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.